Hey Geography peeps, I know you're waiting for the Cape Verde episode, but before you do, we have to do Geography More, which is basically the information that we cover for the stuff that didn't go in the previous videos. In today's episode, we are going to do Andorra, Angola, and Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua. I have to remember to keep saying that. Antigua, not Antigua. Okay, so one thing I kind of wanted to talk about in the Andorra video, but didn't really have a lot of time, was that it's a really, yes, it's a small country and it's very strange. However, they all kind of have to function in a very tight, compact way. So first of all, Andorra does not have any military, so pretty much the defense of Andorra lies on France and Spain. However, by Andorra law, all men ages 21 to 60 are actually called to defend in case of any attack happens or occurs. Furthermore, all male heads of households are required to have a gun. Another thing that really kind of seems to be confusing is the relationship that Andorra has with the rest of the EU. Andorra is not part of the EU, which is strange because their beneficiary countries, France and Spain, are parts of the EU, and furthermore, their heads of states are EU citizens. Furthermore, Andorra actually uses the euro as its currency. However, that's not very surprising considering the fact that they don't have a national bank, so by default their currency always kind of relied on Spain and France to begin with historically. And also, they're not even part of the Schengen area. However, it's kind of hard to get to Andorra anyway to begin with, so that doesn't really matter much. And finally, one of the most fascinating aspects that I really wanted to kind of expound more upon in the video, but didn't really have the time, was the national language, the Catalan language. And no, Catalan is not a dialect of Spanish, although there are some similar traits. Catalan is spoken by about 9 million people across the world, most heavily concentrated in Catalonia, Valencia, the Balearic Islands, and even a little bit of Sardinia. And it's kind of funny because Andorra is the only country in the world that actually has the Catalan language as its national language. So those were just a few things. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more interesting things that I could have mentioned in Andorra, like that cool looking glass spa building, but you look that up. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so one thing I really wanted to talk more about in the Angola video was the fact that Angola was part of the Strani Socjalistyczne Orientacji, or the countries of socialist orientations, which was basically all the countries that were heavily influenced by socialist Marxist ideologies that came from the USSR. See, unlike other European countries like France or Spain, Russia never had an overseas empire and never really colonized or conquered anything that was outside of the immediate reach of their country. The closest they got was after World War II, when they started to really coerce and entice the countries in Africa and some in Asia and even South and Central America to consider their political ideologies. Now, Angola fell into that group, and although Russia never colonized Angola or Africa, they developed a heavily Soviet-influenced political structure that the Soviets approved of and gave themselves credit for planting. This also made Portugal very confused and sad, considering that they were just witnessing their former colony fall under the influence of another European power. And the further we go into geography now, you're going to kind of see this pattern happening in a lot of other countries, that some we even already covered, like Benin. Nonetheless, you kind of know how it all ended. They dropped the whole thing and then built McDonald's. Oh yeah, and Angola is also home to the giant sable, which was thought to be extinct, but then it was rediscovered recently. Alright, moving on. Alright, Antigua and Barbuda. First of all, Antigua, not Antigua. I made that mistake so many times. It's Antigua. One thing I really kind of wished I could have talked more about was the frigate bird sanctuary on Barbuda. Actually, it's more properly known as Cordington Lagoon National Park, which has this vast open field of mangroves that grow up along the beaches. And in these mangroves, thousands and thousands of frigate birds migrate every year and plant their nests. Now, the frigate bird is really cool because the males have this really red pouch on their chests that they puff up when they look for a mate. It's actually a pretty cool tourist site that a lot of people go to check out. Also, the country loves cricket. Even though they're a small country with a small population, they've actually produced some of the top cricketers in the world, like Viv Richards, Richie Richardson, and Andy Roberts. The other thing I wanted to mention was the currency. See, sometimes even though some countries are fully sovereign, they don't have a strong enough centralized bank to maintain a national currency. So sometimes groups of countries band together and join forces to collectively share a regional currency, or they take the currency of a bigger, more economically stable country. You see this happening all over the world in areas like Asia and Africa, and I guess technically you can argue that Europe has it with the whole euro thing. Antigua and Barbuda uses the East Caribbean dollar, which is used by Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, and two British overseas territories, Anguilla and Montserrat. The funny thing is, Barbados used to have this currency, but then in 1972 they were like, nah, I don't need you guys, I'm nationalizing my own banknotes. So that's about it. Those are a few things that I kind of wanted to talk about that didn't quite go into the videos. There are some other things that I totally missed out on. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of some of them, especially if you're from those areas. And if I missed anything, feel free to put them in the comments. Encourage other people to learn more about those countries if you know something that I didn't mention. So yeah, that is the second episode of Geography More, and I'm going to start working on the Cape Verde episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned, stay cool.